My pastor has not held an in-person Sunday service in over a year. He says the most loving thing we can do is to close down. It seems to be different from what you are suggesting. Is my pastor wrong?
Well, Janet, I would never want to say your pastor is wrong, because then you probably take that report back to him. But there's a little bit of an edge, and I'm supposing you quoted your pastor correctly. If he says it's the most loving thing to do is to close down, I suppose those of us who are opening our churches under the regulations allowed, we would not be loving. Is that how you would interpret it, Megan? Or is
that could be one way of interpreting it, yes.
Or maybe I don't want to be overly negative here. And let me say this. It's not that we certainly don't think that you cannot worship God at home or that you have to come to a special building, but we do think it's part of the Christian life to gather, certainly on the Lord's Day, on Sunday, but even other days also. And so our battle has been just to have equality under the law. If certain box stores and theater companies could do their filming and certain things could be allowed, we have sent a message to the government, and we did that by our lawsuit of the Ontario government, that the church has a voice and should be heard. And we're glad to say that we've gone through we're not glad for the 3 lockdowns, but in the 3 lockdowns, there's a big difference between the second and third lockdown versus the first. In the first lockdown we had here, no church service above 10 people. After that, it was modified, and we believe that it was our particular case that caused the government to take a second look at it. And so I think that's loving. I think it's been very loving. People have received by being able to come in person on Sundays. We also have online services. And so I wouldn't argue with your pastor. Let him follow his conviction, and we and others follow ours. Okay, let's leave it at that.
All right. So moving on to the next question coming from Henry. Why does Canada seem to target Christians? At this rate, we will be a Muslim country before all is over.
All right, Henry. Well, when you say Canada targets Christians, I suppose you're referring to the government as such, so I'll interpret it that way. First of all, I don't know if our government is targeting Christians. I think Christian views are less tolerated. We still have a system where people can give to any religious organization, including many churches, and receive income tax receipts, etc. So we have many blessings in Canada at this point, and we don't want to lose them, that are not available in other countries. But, and again, I think Henry said there, if I see the question again, it was, seems like at this rate, Muslims will take over. I understand your concern, Henry, and some people express that, but I don't think that's concern. What studies show us that when Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, whoever moves to our country, they become more secular. My concern is not about that. My concern is about the church, that the church will cease to be the church, that the church will take its eye off the ball, so to speak, and not be involved and see this as an opportunity to share the gospel with all those who come from other countries, that the church will become introspective and introverted and kind of withdraw within the cocoon in itself. That's my problem. So if I have any fear, and we can have some fears, Paul feared that the enemy would blind people's eyes, and so I would fear that we would have secularization. We would become a society where Christians, believers in Jesus, kind of get quiet and silent. That's more my concern.